I want to welcome you here and thank you for being here. What we're going to talk about today, and just so you're aware, we will, after the community conversations tonight, we will put this online for you, so if there's anything you want to see the slides, that will be online. But here's the rundown of what we're going to focus on tonight. We're going to talk about really three areas: college readiness and what we're doing at the high school level, career readiness through the high school level, as well as college and career readiness through Polaris, what we're doing to prepare our students that may want to go into the armed forces, and then how do we help support parents and students throughout that process and developing beyond those academic or technical skills, but what we call soft skills. How do we work, collaborate, communicate with one another? And then what are some opportunities and resources available? And at the end, all of us will be here to answer any questions that you may have. If you think it's a good question for the group, please just ask it. If you feel it's something more individual, we'll be here to answer your individual questions. So I am Cameron Ryba. I'm the superintendent of the school district and privileged to be here with you tonight. To my right is Strongsville High School Principal Mark Smithberger, who will be speaking with you. Tara Brusky, guidance counselor extraordinaire from the high school, will be here sharing how her department and her works to support our students and parents through this process. And Ned Barnett was gracious enough, he's the guidance counselor over at Polaris Career Center, to come and share how Polaris helps in our shared goal of making sure our kids are college and career ready once they leave Strongsville High School. So at this time, not at this time yet, but we talked about questions. Because of the small group here tonight, just if you have questions at the end, we'll be here to talk about that with the panel. So now, I'm going to turn it over to Mark Smithberger, who's going to start off talking about college readiness benchmarks. Mark?
We're going to pass it at the time. Thank you.
Right.
We kind of the agenda followed, so we staked out earlier. So we're going to move kind of through each portion. I'm not going to read the slides to you because I'm assuming we can read them. College readiness benchmarks, a couple things to look at there. ACT, you can see the numbers. SAT, there are the numbers. ACT breaks that down of chance to get a B or better or C or better. That does not necessarily mean the college will inherently accept you into their program. So this just means you're college ready. So as you're sitting here thinking, well, what does that mean in SHS? Well, the average SAT score for the class of 2017 was a 24 composite score. So our kids on average are ready. And if you're saying, well, what's that mean kind of a statewide, that's both above the state and national average. And if you look at the percentiles of where that puts you in, like individually, a 24 puts you in the 77th percentile of the entire country as our average. So our kids leave here ready for college as going from seniors in high school to freshmen in college. SAT, not as many of our students take the SAT, but the ones that do score well above state and national averages as well. So we're really proud of those numbers as a tribute to our kids being prepared. So as far as the courses your kids are going to take when they get to high school, if you're in high school, all general education curriculum is college prep. So maybe in the old days you think about like, well, there's a college prep track, there's a kind of like a basic or fundamental track, and there's this other track here, honors or AP. Everyone is in college prep. There's nothing beneath college prep. And then honors and AP courses are more rigorous than college prep courses. So that's kind of the next step up. And we encourage every student by the time they're junior year to take one honors or AP course. It's a good way to prepare you if you're planning to go into college, whether it's 2 year or 4 year after high school, start the process of taking a rigorous curriculum. I put this here at the bottom. Numerous colleges and universities visit SHS. We have visits throughout the year. I put that on here for this reason. When you get serious about selecting a college, make sure you're college ready, it's one thing to have a 24 on the ACT, another thing to have the college say you can come. If you're planning on going to, I don't know, MIT or Harvard, a 24 on the ACT is not going to cut it. Probably looking at between a 35 and 36 on the ACT. 36 is considered a perfect score. So understand, just because you're deemed college ready doesn't mean the institution will let you in necessarily. So that's between you and the individual college. Our counseling department, we have 6 counselors. We'd be happy to talk to you about how those colleges work and reach out to them and help you with that process. But that does not necessarily mean inherently you're in. Sometimes we get confused by that. We say, well, I'm college ready. Well, that means you're ready for a college, not all colleges, as far as admissions go.
Mark, before you go on, can you talk a little bit about why so many kids take the ACT versus the SAT in Ohio?
Okay, ACT is traditionally a Midwest test. We're in the Midwest. More and more, and I can't think of any college right now that don't accept both test scores. ACT or SAT. They're really interchangeable now. SAT has switched up what they've done traditionally. So there's been a shift there, and what, about 4 years ago, Tara, that was done? 3 or 4?
2016.
Okay, so 2 years ago. So they look very similar, because it used to be, well, take one, you might score a little better on one or the other. We still kind of suggest that, but ACT is universally accepted. It's what we're used to in the Midwest. So that's just traditionally what we've done in Ohio. But the SAT is readily accessible as well. As far as offering here, the ACT is offered in our building every single year. And all juniors get a free ACT here at the high school during the school day, which is a pretty cool thing for any junior. Did that answer the question? Okay, career readiness. To kind of give you some breakdown here, actually, that we mentioned earlier. Last year, our graduating seniors, 82% went to 4-year colleges, 10% went to 2-year colleges, and the other 8% either went to the military or careers. So we do have a career tech program in the building. Ned will talk about the career tech program, I believe, as well at some point. Career tech courses, we have marketing, business, family, consumer science. Those courses are aligned to career tech curriculum. There's a 4-year progression and path you take, and they're tied to college curriculum as well. So kids can earn college credits out of these courses. We have a career tech advisory panel. This is really exciting for us. I know Ned has it over at Polaris as well. We bring people in the fields who actually are in marketing, or are in business, or are nutrition, or if has nutritionists and nurse come in, they talk to our teachers about what that looks like to make sure our programming is preparing you for life after that. To make sure that what we're teaching in family consumer science, the nutritionist says that's what we're teaching at Tri-C. That's what it looks like when you're in the field working at the Cleveland Clinic. Or if you're a marketer, whatever business firm you're with. So we get some good feedback that way of how to prepare our kids for life after us. And that's really, for us, is invaluable to have that feedback.
Do they work with the students or do they work with the teachers?
The advisory panel is just with teachers, but they're also coming to classrooms when available and see us interacting with kids. But we meet annually, twice annually with them, and we say, here's our curriculum, here's what we cover, what are you seeing, what are trends in the field that you're seeing day to day that we might need to hit on more, what are you seeing with your young entrants into the field, or I guess new entrants into the field, as far as skills they need that we can help make sure our kids have those. So that's part of how that looks. And for us, it's really exciting because they give us great feedback on things we don't really think about all the time. Transition to the Work program. This is one of our programs we're really proud of at the high school. It is for students with identified disabilities. And we start out as freshmen with them working in the building. We have an internal coffee shop. We do different tasks in the building. Then we take them out to work sites where they work, and eventually when they graduate, we get them into the field. So if it's a student with a disability, we want to make sure when they leave us, they're prepared as well. So this program transitions over 4 years to make sure they're ready. The goal really, quite honestly, and Ned can speak to it maybe a little bit as well, is that after their sophomore year, they go to Polaris, where they have, what, 3 programs?
There's, I think 5 actually.
5, okay. Do you directly with students with special admissions into the program with disabilities to allow them to be successful? At the high school, we also have a career fair about every other year. The career fair typically brings in about 100 different local businesses, talking about what their careers look like. One of the things we realized over time is students pick careers based on watching TV, what their parents do, or what they see us do. And they tell us things like, I want to be a marine biologist. Well, why is that? Well, I went on vacation, it's like a cool job, and they get to live by the ocean. Well, that may not be. Do you actually like biology? Nah, not really. It may not be a career for you then. I always joked I spent 3 years of my life as a pre-law poli-sci history major. Did a summer clerkship, and I realized what I really would do is Matlock, not an attorney. So I had to shift gears to something better for me, which was education. I loved every second of it, but I didn't really know what an attorney did until I spent 8 hours a day at a law office doing research. That wasn't for me. So the career fair gives our kids a sneak peek into what it looks like when you are an accountant. And quite honestly, we have about 100 people come in, so we have a vast variety of careers. Because a lot of times students will tell us they want to be an engineer, and our first question is, what type of engineer? I don't know if I'm going to be an engineer. Well, let's hone that in a little bit to see what courses you need, etc. That brings us to career pathways. We've been working out of our associate principal's office, Mr. Tamino, putting together career pathways. This is a live link when you see it. And it talks about, if you want this career, here's the path of courses you should take. Because oftentimes students will take courses that really aren't aligned to a career or a college pathway. So if you tell me, I want to be an engineer, well, that's awesome. We actually have a Project Lead the Way course here through Polaris called Pre-Engineering. You should probably take if you want to be an engineer. So it makes sense. So these are pathways, depends on the career you have, the course you should take that leads you to being prepared for a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, or a job right after high school. So for us, these are really cool to allow people to kind of plan that longitudinal look as I'm a freshman or sophomore where I want to go. Student success plans. Students deemed academically at risk are on student success plans here. And that means they meet with their guidance counselor on a very regular basis. They have a mentor in the building that talks about making sure they're progressing towards graduation as well as life after graduation. Our mindset, quite frankly, here at SHS is if you graduate without a plan, we failed you. You need to have a plan what the next step is. The plan should not be living in your parents' basement for life. That's your plan. That's not a great plan. So that's not the end goal for any of our students. So figure out where they want to go. So that's a little bit for us about career readiness, college readiness. I want to turn it over at this point to Mr. Barnett, who can speak about Polaris career programming and how that looks for you guys. And he's an expert at it. So Ned, you're all yours.
Thank you. To start, before I begin kind of with the points I have on the overhead, first I just want to talk about the partnership we have with Strongsville. Our students at Polaris are with us 3 hours a day. And most of that time is for programming, and there are some other things. Sometimes some of our classes have academic pieces to them. We also do some soft skills, which I'll talk about as well. So we really are a partner with Strongsville, that they're coming here for 3 hours and they're coming to us for 3 hours. So we try to work closely with the counselors and the administrators to make sure they're getting the best of us and the best you guys have to offer as well. So I kind of wanted to cover 4 main topics when it comes to what we're doing to get kids ready for the workforce and for life after Polaris or life after Strongsville High School. And the first thing I want to talk about soft skills, because we hear about that all the time, or professional skills. What does that mean, and what does that mean to the students? What do they know, and how do we give them that? Well, it's built into our curriculum. All of our students go through training where the programs go to a teacher and they're getting specific skills like building a resume, how to be a professional in the workplace, and how to interview. We do it kind of all culminates with the mock interviews. We talk about those, our partnerships with the businesses. We use those in the mock interviews where people from industry come into our building and they interview the students as if they were interviewing them for a job in their salon, in their shop, in their nursing home. And frankly, we have students that get hired out of those because they come off so well, but it's a great opportunity for those kids to do that interview. I'm always surprised to find out how many students haven't had a job, they've never interviewed for a job, they've never done a resume, they don't have those skills, and we've given them that. And it's always fun for me to see because they're all dressed up, they're nervous because it's somebody from the profession. They want to impress them, they want to show them what they've learned at Polaris. So that's a kind of a neat, a cool thing for us. And that soft skills piece kind of leads me into the next piece, student employment. Student employment has always been a big part of Polaris. However, it has changed over the years. I started at Polaris many, many years ago, and when I was at Polaris, the 4th quarter of senior year would be like a ghost town in there because everybody was out to work. Whether it was the nursing program, whether it was the welding program, everybody went out to work. That is not the case anymore. The reality is, curriculum needs have changed. There is more things and more rigor that needs to be covered, so those students need to be in place at Polaris to get that information. Also, we have put a huge emphasis on earning industry credentials. You're going to leave Polaris with something that makes you employable in your field, something that's going to get you better than a minimum wage job, something that's going to help you in your profession. Excuse me. So the programs that we have when it comes to employment, we do have summer internships. Now these internships were our students between their junior and senior year. They do go out to work, and this is a very competitive, there's not a lot of students that do it because you have to have the grades, you have to be able to handle, you have to have the attendance, you have to be able to handle that curriculum because what that summer internship can turn into is an internship in your senior year. But we carefully plan that because we need these students to get their certifications and their license. We need these students to be successful and get the material from us that we're providing. So it has to be a special student that can do that that can maintain working and coming to Polaris. Also, the majority of our students take advantage of working outside the school day. As we know, many students do work, and we help them find jobs in their industry, the teachers help them find jobs in their industry, and that's where most of our students are working, and they're with us during the day. And then last, placement outside of Polaris. We help students find jobs. People come to us all the time. It is not my specific job to work with our students to do placement. We have an office that does that, but people continuously come to me when they find out I work at Polaris. We need somebody for this, we need somebody for this. We're not having trouble finding jobs. We're having trouble getting people in those jobs because there's so many of them in the skilled trades, which is a good problem for us to have. Okay? Just a little information I got from our placement office. The class of 2017 placement rate was 97.2%. Now what that means is 6 months after the students graduated, they were either employed, they were in an apprenticeship program, they were in the military, or they were in some form of college. So 97.2% of our students 6 months after graduation. We're pretty proud of that. I've alluded to industry credentials, and that is a big part of what we do. The majority of our programs do have them. I'm not going to read this list to you. This is just a list of some of the credentials, and I will tell you that this list is ever changing. We are constantly looking at what is best for the students to get them employed, what can they get at Polaris. Maybe you recognize some of those credentials up there. 14 of our 17 programs have industry-recognized credentials that help students enter the workforce. We're very proud of that because our students can leave Polaris with that license, with that certificate, for a career, for a very good job while they're going to school, which is what most of our students do. So there's an opportunity for them to make a good living for themselves from the 2 years they spent at Polaris. And then also, a big part of what we do is 70% of our students do go on to some form of college or some form of training after high school. They either go into the workforce, trade school, community college, or a four-year college or university. The majority of our students go on to, I would say, a community college setting where they're either going to try to get to their bachelor's degree or get training at the community college to get into a career. 16 of our 17 programs offer college credit at the end of the time, or at the end of your program. Those credits are through articulation agreements, a program we have called Tech Prep, which is a statewide initiative, and the CTAG initiative, which is also a statewide program. So all of our, I think of Polaris, I was in the Berea School District when I went to school, and I had a very different picture of Polaris than what it is now. Then you went to Polaris, you could get a job right out of high school. Now we still do that. But the majority of our students are going on for further training because they have to. And that's just the reality of skilled labor today. You're not just going to be in a shop. You have to learn all those skills that we help provide. That's all I have, I think. Yes? So this is
Back to me.
back to you. All right.
Ned, thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate you being here. And Ned truly is an expert. He may not brag on himself, I'll brag on him. He's happy to be here tonight. If you have questions about Polaris and their programming, starting with Ned, Barnett is a great place to start. He will answer your questions. He's our go-to guy, so Ned, thank you.
Sure.
A portion of our students go to the military after they leave us every year, so we're going to talk about kind of how that looks in our world. Recruiters come to our building from all the branches of the military. They have carte blanche. They want to come here, they can come here every single day. They set up in our cafeteria, our students can talk to them. If they choose to meet with them, they can meet with them. If you want them to come to your house, they'll come to your house. The recruiters, just like it sounds, it's their job to recruit people to their branch of the military. We try to make sure they're not hard-selling kids and they're not just out roaming the halls. That doesn't happen, but they certainly are available. So if that's the pathway you want to go down, they can certainly be at your beck and call. They will come meet you wherever you want to meet at and talk about it. Much like Ned said, the military's changed though. It's not about just going in and just being on the ground. They have to have skills. They will want you to learn a skill in the military. So that is a very portable skill once you learn it. And there'll be education there in all likelihood. So that's part of it as well. If you're thinking about the military, the test they use is the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, or ASVAB as it's known as. ASVAB is an important test. It's like the ACT and SAT for going to college. This will dictate what they let you do when you get to the military. So this is a test, if you're going to the military, you need to take seriously. It's worth studying for. Because you might tell them, hey, I'd like to be, I don't know, I want to work on computers, electronics. Well, if you don't score well on this test, they're going to tell you, no, you can't. So that test does matter. So keep that in mind if that's the path you're going down. That's a test that you will take, and it does matter. In our building, we offer Air Force Junior ROTC. That's a program, and so one thing we try to educate people on, yes, it's the Air Force or Junior ROTC, but it does not mean you have to join the military, nor does it mean you have to go to the Air Force. You do join the military. But it is a good way to get your foot in the door. You can learn you can learn drill, you can learn discipline, you can learn how the military operates. The 2 teachers in the room are a retired colonel and a retired master chief. So they are very well versed in military life in general. And they will counsel and talk to students about what it is you're trying to do. And maybe Air Force isn't right for you, but maybe Navy is. So it's a great program if you have interest in the military to kind of check out and explore. One of the nice parts about it is if you do 2 years of Air Force Junior ROTC, if you go to the Air Force, you enter the Air Force at a higher pay grade and higher rank right out of high school. And that pay grade is worth about $800 a month. So I'm not sure how much money you made when you were 19, but $800 a month is more than I made altogether, let alone on top of what I was making. So if you are going that path, I would strongly consider going to that program. That is a worthwhile activity. At this point, I want to introduce Ms. Tara Brusky. Tara is one of our counselors here at the high school. We have 6 counselors. She does an outstanding job for us, and she's going to talk about tonight of kind of what goes on 9 through 12 with college and career planning and how we try to make sure that your son or daughter leave us with a clear path where they want to go and how to look for them, how we get there. Go ahead, Tara.
All right, so we use a program called Naviance or Student Connection or Family Connection. There's some different names to it. That's our biggest thing to advising students on exactly what kind of career field they want to go to and deciding whether they should go to Polaris Career Center or whether they should pursue college or an ROTC program. So we'll talk about how we implement that each year for each student and how we use teachers' classrooms to sort of integrate this career exploration as well. But we also meet with kids individually. We meet with classrooms, we do groups, we do parent meetings, and again, we'll go through how we do this each year. Student Connection or Naviance, I mostly will talk to you what we do at the high school, grades 9 through 12, but it's actually available to the middle school students. Use it, they'll start 6th, 7th, and 8th, and that's aligned with the middle school counselors and the high school counselors together, so we're able to touch on all the things it has to offer. And then we meet with students and parents yearly to decide what do you schedule for next year so that you can meet your high school requirements, but also to prepare you for the next step in college or careers or wherever you're going next. So at the bottom, there was no better way than to quote exactly what Naviance's description is. Wasn't very good at rephrasing that, but it's a pretty competitively used by our college or most high schools in the area. So each grade level, what do we do? So in 9th grade, we meet with every student individually. We make sure that they feel comfortable here at the high school. We ask them if their classes are going well, and we have them do a personality profile. So they do a personality profile, and they get a Myers-Briggs-based personality assessment. So then from this personality assessment, they can click on related career fields. And we do this with them typically individually or in groups of 2 or 3 so that they can really click through, all right, what careers match your personality? And through the years, we talk about how personality, you want to do something that fits your personality. But then in 10th grade, you want to do something that you're good at, something that you're strong in, to be truly happy. The other thing we do in 10th grade is all students go on a trip to Polaris Career Center. So we take the assessments from 9th grade and we take the assessment from 10th grade and we help them identify career fields that they might enjoy. Then from there, they pick which programs they might want to visit at Polaris Career Center. Sometimes this year we brought in a speaker for the affiliated construction trades of Ohio, and we use the results from these assessments to invite specific students to view these speakers. So in 10th grade, we do the Strengths Explorer actually in connection with their financial literacy class, because what Naviance does, once it tells you what career fields that your student would do well in. Then it tells them in that career field, what are the daily tasks and activities? So Mr. Smithberger mentioned that students will say, well, I want to be a teacher because that person's a teacher, or everybody pretty much thinks they know what a nurse does, or a lawyer, or a doctor, but there's so many. If you say to a high school student, what does an actuary do? Most of them have no idea. So they can click on an actuary and see what they do every single day and decide whether that's for them. Then, because it's part of the financial literacy class, they can click on a list of wages and they'll see how much money they would make. Obviously, an actuary makes a lot of money, so lots of students want to do it. But then they realize how much math you need. So it takes them through everything that's necessary to go into that career field. So we can tie that wages into the financial literacy class. So we find a way to connect it to other things they're doing, not just as a standalone sort of thing that they do and that they move on. The other great thing is it identifies their communication strengths and blind spots. Blind spots is their nice word of saying weakness. But we can share this with parents. And I've actually had parents really, I'm like, if you want to communicate better with your 10th grader, this might help. Parents have access to all of the results as well. So you can log in at any moment and see what your students' results were, what might they want to do in the future. Okay, so in 11th grade, students take the PSAT test, or it's offered to take it. They actually can take it in 9th and 10th grade, which is good practice. 11th grade is the year that they're really trying to qualify for scholarships. It's the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. It's very long. But now they've expanded that to millions more in scholarships, not just the highest tier student anymore. And this is why I think more students should start taking the SAT, because after they take the PSAT, they get tailored test prep to them. So I'm actually trying to guide more of my students to taking the SAT, because they have more guided test prep from that. And Mr. Smithberger mentioned we do the ACT in the spring. Then this is where we start to get heavier on college preparation. So they'll do another career interest profiler, which is another, I think it's 140 questions. So it's longer, but we do this typically in 11th grade English classrooms. And so they'll do a mini research paper in which they have to identify 2 or 3 careers and 2 or 3 colleges and 2 or 3 majors. So they use Naviance to do this whole career interest and research paper. So for some teachers, it's kind of a warm-up to the research component, but again, we're kind of tying that all into the curriculum. We do college planning and a guidance in the classroom, usually government or some other 11th grade class. Then we also offer a college planning meeting to the parents in November of the junior year. Underclass parents can come to it, but we focus on 11th graders. And then students can also use a thing called Supermatch, which I think there's 20 criteria. You want to go to a small school, you want it to be private, you want it to be within 200 miles from home or much farther than 200 miles from home, and they can start to narrow down their college choices. And then 12th grade, we go back to meeting with students individually. We make sure every student has made a good choice, know where they're going, help them through the college application process. We'll talk to parents about applying for financial aid, which is actually done in the fall now of a senior year. So back when I went to college, everybody applied more in January or February. Now you're starting to apply for financial aid in October of your senior year. But we offer classroom guidance on that. We do parent meetings, and then we'll show how Student Connection, forgot to change that, they switch names from Family Connection to Student Connection, but they'll use that to apply for colleges and ask for letters of recommendation. Is there anything I missed?
We have a college application day.
Oh yeah, we do have a college application day. It's typically on PSAT day, so many of our students take the PSAT day. It's usually around October 14th, and so we'll have seniors can come in and get help on applying to colleges and sort of navigating the Common App. There's lots of different ways to apply to college, and students sometimes need that one-on-one, and we give them time in the media center, we can sit with them and really go through the whole process. Last year, we've had parents come in with the students.
Parents are welcome, sometimes you guys can help as well. If it's your
Yeah,
first time
it's-
through, it's gonna be daunting.
Yeah, it's stressful. We get parents call us about financial aid questions. There are summer programs that the other thing we use Student Connection and Family, or Naviance, or Family Connection for is to communicate with parents about summer things that are coming up. So if your student's in 9th grade and they really want to go into computer programming, typically Lorain County Community College has a computer programming summer program, and so we would communicate that through. Some parents send us things like, stop, take me off your mailing list, which is hard because it's all connected to Power School, but we're really trying to get you as much information as we can as it comes to us. So the counselors we're arranged alphabetically. So your student would be with us for all 4 years once they start 9th grade. And you would call by alphabet, your student's guidance counselor, and we would help you at any point with whatever questions you have. So sometimes we meet with parents when the student's a 9th grader because they really want to plan out the whole path. Other parents we don't hear from until they're applying to college, which is fine too. A lot of students can navigate it themselves. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, Tara. And if you as a parent are concerned, you can always reach out to your guidance counselor. You can meet with them face-to-face, go through the process. One of the things that I hear all the time is, well, since I was in high school, it's changed. And that's a true statement. Application process has changed for college, for jobs, technology component. So if it's giving you some anxiety, let us be helpful there. Because we don't necessarily know exactly what you're experiencing on your end, what things are concerning you, and especially if it's your first child going through it, or it's a different experience your first child had. We send 500 students across the stage every year at graduation with all different pathways, so we're not expert at everything, we're pretty well versed in different things. If we're not sure about it, we'll get the resources for you. So don't hesitate to reach out to us because we are here to help. That's actually our jobs. Developing soft skills, Mr. Barnett talked about a little bit of how that looks at Polaris. What we've done is we ask kind of the age-old thing that all the teachers said, well, I wish students were better writers, or I wish they were better at critical thinking, or I wish this, I wish. And so we said, we challenged our staff, like, okay, then let's embed these things explicitly in the curriculum. As a former social studies teacher, I always wish students could analyze literature better and make connections. But I'm not sure I was always teaching it very well. I wish you did it, but I'm not sure I'm giving you the tools to do it. So now we actually embed skills in our curriculum. I just listed a few of them here. That when you take certain courses, they're absolutely embedding that in the curriculum. So these are just a few of them we actually put right in there. Something like critical thinking, that gets taught throughout the course of the day explicitly multiple times through courses. Problem solving, same thing. Setting and meeting goals. Our career tech department, which includes a variety of teachers, that's one of the things they talk about in their curriculum. What's an appropriate goal? How do you set a goal? How do you reach a goal? Is it a SMART goal? Those are things that we talk about as adults in my world a lot. But to a kid who's never set a goal, that's something that's foreign to them. They talk about time management, collaboration, budgeting. One of the things that I think the state's done a good job with curriculum on is things like financial literacy. That's a whole semester course. Talks about loans, investments, how not to end up bankrupt. Those things that sometimes we don't have a lot of experts. We may have done a great job maybe as teach that to our kids explicitly, or another voice helps teach that. So those are things that happen. Social awareness. One of the big things right now we've got a lot of feedback on is our students have a difficult time judging the credibility of media. Sound familiar with all the stuff out there about fake news and what credibility of sources? So that's explicitly embedded in our social studies curriculum now, of how to judge a source, of how to back it up, how to triangulate it. That stuff happens now to informed consumers. And then finally, interpersonal communication. We hear time and time again from employers, students have a difficult time communicating. So we want to kind of close that gap. And so these are things we're explicitly working on within our curriculum. It is laid out within courses. We talk about it at different levels. How should a freshman communicate versus a senior communicate? How does that look different in different settings? So that for us is really important. Real world student opportunities. Senior project for us. Every senior has the opportunity to leave school the last 4 weeks and do a 100-hour internship at a business of his or her choosing. We think this is a really good opportunity before you start kind of, we're winding down here, and I'm going to go to college, I'm going to study communications. Do I want to be a communications director at a PR firm? I don't know. That's what you want to do. You've done all the background on it. Go out and do it for a month. So you can leave early and do that. Job shadowing. We encourage students, if they're interested in a field, go job shadow it. See what the person does day to day. Marketing program has a job component. Everyone in the marketing program has to have a job, has to be employed. Our teachers go on site and actually visit the job, give you job coaching skills. That happens, so that's a good thing for us. We have the job fair, that was last week. We had about 23 vendors come in from the community. Our students get to interview. It's a real live interview. And the companies vary from traditional kind of labor to service industry to a website designer. I mean, so it varies on what the skill is. So our students get to interview. They hired multiple kids on the spot. They got kids called back for second interviews. Even if they didn't get the job, the good news is they had to dress up. They had to prepare a resume of some sort. They had to come in. And it's a real life experience. They're nervous. That's a good thing. Go through the process, because a lot of times it's their first interview. And getting that first out of the way is important, because most first ones aren't that great. So you get a chance to come and experience it, go through the process is an important thing for us. And then the last thing up there is an opportunity, service learning. A lot of our organizations, extracurriculars, involve a service learning component. We think that's a good thing. One, to give back. We're very blessed at Strongsville. Most of our students have a lot of opportunities. And we've had kind of somewhat charmed lives. Give back, volunteer, support. Now, looks at a lot of different ways. We let kids design their own service learning components, and they're as varied as the kids themselves. What they like to do, I think that's a good lifelong skill. So that's kind of one of the real world opportunities to get out there, plan an event, serve, volunteer, etc. Kind of in closing here, we linked some live references here. SHS School Profile. School Profile tells you the classes that are offered here, in case you're wondering, hey, what classes can we take? What's our catalog look like? Program says the same thing. School Profile is good because it tells you where our kids go to college after they leave us. So you can kind of get a handle on where they're going, or they tell us they're going. The guidance website, that is packed full of great college and career resources. Then finally, the Naviance Family Connection allows you to kind of explore what that looks like. Naviance is a tool that as a parent, you need to get on. If when parents email, I take out that mailing list, that breaks my heart. You're giving away a tremendous resource and a lot of different things you can do with your son or daughter. From just career inventories, interests, and building the idea of college searches. I mean, I think almost every college in the United States is on there. And you can track them down.
Outside the United States.
Yeah, outside the United States.
Worldwide.
See what SAT scores you need to go there, what GPA they want, how much it's going to cost someone to go there, and what scholarships are available. I mean, it's a resource that, quite honestly, that we pay for you guys. We believe in it so much, and we think people should use it. And every year, more and more of our people are starting to use it. They're seeing the value in it. And Mr. Ivey, that is it. That's for our portion.
And, you know, I just want to reiterate what everybody said. Naviance is something, as Tara mentioned, we use it starting in 6th grade. And we see some younger students here today that are going into middle school or in middle school. It's been used in 6th grade a couple years ago, and starting next year we've got some new coursework that career exploration, that pathway to the high school is going to start even more explicitly in the middle school. So as you see the resources, we want you to become familiar with that as well. One more thing. If you're interested, we do have one more community conversation. May 15th, 6:30 p.m. We're back at the high school. We're actually going to be down in the Media Center. Vicki Turner, our Director of Instructional Technology, will be with us. We're going to talk about, in the year 2018, what it means to integrate education and technology. And we'll be taking a look and may have some hands-on opportunities for you to look at how we're utilizing makerspaces in our district as a way to build problem-solving, real-life skills within our students, as well as general technology integration into our classrooms on a daily basis. So hopefully you can join us there. And now, officially, that concludes it, and we hope you have a good evening.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.